Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Apologize for coming in late. We were having a very interesting discussion. MashaAllah, inshallah. But inshallah, we'll continue our class. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لحظة أبدا عدد نعم الله وأفضاله. اللهم آتنا من لدنك رحمة وعلمنا من لدنك علما. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نوينا التعلم والتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم ألهمنا علما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف به كيف نناجيك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده، فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله. يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح علينا فتحا قريبا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وسدد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا. وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والصدق واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرات الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة أيحسب الإنسان أن لن نجمع عظامه بلى قادرين على أن نسوي بنانه بل يريد الإنسان ليفجر أمامه يسأل أيان يوم القيامة فإذا برق البصر وخسف القمر وجمع الشمس والقمر يقول الإنسان يومئذ أين المفر كلا لا وزر إلى ربك يومئذ المستقر ينبأ الإنسان يومئذ بما قدم وأخر بل الإنسان على نفسه بصيرة ولو ألقى معاذيره لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه فإذا قرأناه فاتبع قرآنه ثم إن علينا بيانه كلا بل تحبون العاجلة وتذرون الآخرة وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة ووجوه يومئذ باسرة تظن أن يفعل بها فاقرة كلا إذا بلغت التراقي وقيل من راق وظن أنه الفراق والتفت الساق بالساق إلى ربك يومئذ المساق فلا صدق ولا صلى ولكن كذب وتولى ثم ذهب إلى أهله يتمطى أولى لك فأولى ثم أولى لك فأولى أيحسب الإنسان أن يترك سدى ألم يكن نطفة من مني يمنى ثم كان علقة فخلق فسوى فجعل منه الزوجين الذكر والأنثى أليس ذلك بقادر على أن يحيي الموتى بلى وهو على كل شيء قدير صدق الله العلي العظيم وقد بلغ النبي الوافي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والذاكرين والمؤمنين ويكن لنا حجرا يوم القيامة وليس علينا الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has indeed spoken the truth and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has indeed delivered the message and he has fulfilled the trust that was placed on him and we are of those who believe in the message and of those who remember the message and of those who are grateful for the message and of those who are witnesses that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam has indeed delivered the amana, the trust that was placed on him. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this Quran a proof for us and not against us on the day of judgment. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ameen. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. We are at the part on the faces on the day of judgment where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة. So where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, on that day, faces will be bright and will be bright and shining on that day, and they will be gazing upon their Lord, the Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu, and we spoke about the people who are successful, people of Jannah, and we spoke about that the greatest reward for a person in Jannah is the gaze upon the countenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that how you look at the full moon right now, that is how you will see your Lord. Meaning in clarity, in full clarity, you will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But of course, not in the meaning of the eye of our head, right? But it is a different meaning. The eye of the heart is what it is said. And the beholding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in what we can never understand. Subhanallah. So wujuhu yawma'idhin nadira ila rabbiha nadira. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he received this the highest gift of paradise while he was still alive on this earth, during the Isra and the Mi'raj. And that is an amazing thing in itself, that the highest gift of paradise was already given to the Prophet ﷺ while he was walking the face of this earth, during his Isra wal Mi'raj. That even the angels do not get yet, as on the day of judgment and in the next world in paradise. That is when the believers will be beholding the countenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But our Prophet, mashallah, he has already reached the highest level of that of the gifts of paradise, and he chose to come back down, and he chose to come back down to be with his ummah and to guide his ummah to what is best for them, subhanallah. And that is our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Going into the next part of the second type of faces, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَوُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ بَاسِرَةٌ. So this is basira, meaning gloomy, but also means to have like severe frowning and worry, and terror and horror on that day. تظن أن يفعل بها فاقرة. And they are anticipating. So تظن, that they think, meaning that they know, and with yaqeen, they know that what will come to them is something that will break their backs. فاقرة, it has the meaning of something so great that it's going to smash them, it's going to break their backs, and they know what is coming. And we know that the signs of a dreadful and a wretched end, the signs begin from the point of death. The signs already begin from the point of death, and in fact, already in this world, the signs of a dreadful end and a wretched end already begins in life itself. And when someone has and someone has delight in sinning against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they find worship, and they find obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala terrible, they don't want to succumb to all of these things, and they want to follow their nafs, and that will lead them necessarily to destruction. As you know, in our dunya, so many of them, so many of the human beings in this dunya, as the rich and the wealthy and the famous, celebrities, they run after dunya, they run after all these things, seeking happiness, and they just go into destruction. And the only way to find happiness is in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that will bring you bliss, mashallah. So they're already in the hellfire, and they're still here in this world. They're already in their hell. It is a hell for those who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those who disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are in a hell. It is a hell that is here, and a worse hell in the hereafter. But of course, the destruction begins to manifest itself clearly at the point of death, with the angel coming to them in the most horrific manner. Then in the barzakh, whereby they will be experiencing of the worst of punishments in the barzakh, in their graves. And then when they are raised on the day of judgment, right, they are just horrified. They are horrified of what is going on ar- around them. So their faces will be gloomy, right? It's because they know definitely that they are not going to meet a good end, right? And they have no one to blame but their own selves. Right? So Allah says and so Allah gives us this very clear picture, a very clear imagery on the day of judgment, and for human beings to choose. I choose which faces do you want to be on the day of judgment, right? Those that will be, horrified, terrified on that day, or those that will be bright and illuminated, gazing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to gaze at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then in this world, focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you'll end up, inshallah, manifesting focus as a gaze on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. Right, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see him. And if you don't see him, then know that he definitely sees you. Right. So that was that we went through that last week, uh with the tafsir, right? تظن أن يفعل بها فاقرة, and they think, right, they will be, what will they think, or they know, right, that they will be crushed, right, or their backs will be broken on that day. And they said that those who will worry on that day, they will begin to sweat, right? The sweating on the day of judgment is not because of the heat of the sun. Right? The heat of the sun is the least of their worries in the day of judgment. And of course, it is described by the Prophet ﷺ that the sun will come close to the human being. And there are several interpretations of what he says, ﷺ. Right? So one interpretation, it says that it will come the length of a kohl stick, a length of a coho stick above the head. Another interpretation, it will come the length of a handspan above the head. Another interpretation, it will be a mile, right, a mile up, right, from the head. Right, so there are several interpretations as to the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as to how close the sun will be. But even a mile above the head is enough to destroy the human being. Right, so it doesn't matter where, right, in the sense that all of it will be torture on the human being, but it will be the least of the human being's worries. Right? And it's not what is going to make the human being sweat. Right? What will make the human being sweat, right, will be their worries over their sins and their deeds. Right. So, and Rasulullah said that on that day, and this is, you find this in the chapter on Salihin, right, on the chapter on fear. Right? So Imam Nawawi, he goes into the chapter of hope, and when you go to the chapter, you feel like everyone's going to go to paradise. And when you go to the chapter of fear, you feel like no one's going to go to paradise. Then you go into the chapter of hope and fear, right, and you learn how to balance it out. Right, no, mashallah. Right, so but this is in the chapter of fear, right? And so what happens on the day of judgment is that people are so fearful to see their records, their accounts, right? That they begin to sweat, right? And the scholars wanted to comment on this. They say, how is sweating then on the day of judgment? Right? They say that it is in a column. Right? The sweat will be a column around you, and so it will not stretch to other people because there are many people there, right? So the hadith goes that some of them will sweat because of the fear of their deeds, right? And the sweat will reach their ankles. Right? So a small amount of sweat, and but still sweating because they're worried. Right? Some of them will sweat until the sweat reaches their knees, and some of them will sweat until the sweat reaches their waist, and some of them will sweat until the sweat reaches their throat, and some of them will be drowning in their own sweat. Right? So the ulama, they comment on it, they say that it's a column of sweat, right, that this person is experiencing, right, and the amount of sweating a person does in a day of judgment is already related to the amount of sin, right, the amount of disobedience and rebellion against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they have done in this dunya. Right, so mashallah, and there's a lot of hadiths, right, that speak about the horror on the day of judgment, and of course that their faces get gloomier and gloomier. Right? The more they go through the process of day of judgment, the first and foremost with the books being distributed, right? When the books land in their left hand, or and the books bring them behind their back, and then with the scales, and then in horror seeing their scale of bad deeds far outweigh the scale of good deeds, then the hisab. And the hisab is a terrible, terrible situation to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why the 70,000 people of the Ummah of Rasulullah who will enter Jannah bighayr hisab. Right? 70,000 people will enter Jannah without any hisab, mashallah. Right? Like 70,000, it's like so little. mashallah. But inshallah, we have hope in Allah's mercy, and Allah's mercy is wide. Maybe if every 70,000 they can put in another 70,000, maybe even then, still not enough. I mean, if you want to be like, you want to rank all the Muslims from the time of Rasulullah to the end of time, like, we are like number what, in the billions, I don't know. I mean, there's so many amazing human beings that's gone forth before. Right, mashallah.
Just like number that.
Yeah, I also think so.
It's possible. Like, is our hope, right? Ya Allah, I'm number 70,001.
I'm 6
Right. So nicely enter.
Yep.
7,001. Let's say you are number 7,001, you don't get to enter. You're like, why? You try to appeal, right? You have to appeal. You try and appeal and ask for shafa'ah. You're like, let us in, please. No, mashallah, that's the wujuhu yawma nadirah, right? They are the ones who nothing grievous befalls them, right? The wujuhu yawma idin basira, right? They are the one, right, who they are the one who goes through worst of every single section of the day of judgment, right? And that they will be facing their hisab, right? And the standing of the hisab. The hisab is the questioning, right? The one where everybody has to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this question by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all human beings, right? It can take tens of thousands of years, right, to get through. And the questioning it per person, one by one, one by one. And so you don't want to go through that. You don't want to, because they said that, it's from Rasulullah. Rasul informs Aisha, Aisha, when someone is questioned on the day of judgment, is doomed. It is doomed. Because how are you going to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the question is not, did you do so and so, or do you do such and such? No, the question is, why did you? It's not also going to ask you what you did. He's going to ask you why you did it. And it's a difficult question to answer, right? Especially if why you did it was just plainly because my nafsu said so, right? Or because shaitan said so, or because, everyone did it, or whatever. How are you going to answer that, right? So that you can't give, any excuses to you why you did what you did, right? So Imam Ghazali, he recommends reciting in the wudu, Allahumma atini kitabi biyamini wa dukhulni jannah bighayr no, Imam Ghazali's one is not bighayr hisab. The one is Habib Muhammad al-Haddar. The other one is he never writes Imam Ghazali one. Because they write is ودخل بيميني وحاسبني حسابا يسيرا. نعم وحاسبني حسابا يسيرا. That is the one from Imam Ghazali. Habib Muhammad al-Haddar, he changed it and he said that and put there ودخلني الجنة بغير الحساب. Right, so Imam Ghazali puts, right, in English, Ya Allah, give my book in my right hand and give me an easy accounting. And Rasulullah explained in the hadith, Rasulullah Aisha, whereby he was explaining to her, what is an easy accounting, Ya Rasulullah? And he said that an easy accounting is that you're shown your deeds and then you're let through. Right? No questions asked. You're shown, but you are shown. You're shown your entire life. Then you are let into Jannah with no questions asked. That is an easy reckoning, right? Whereas بغير حساب, you're not even shown your deeds, right? But you're still to enter into paradise. So you're straight in. Right? So no checking, no whatsoever at all. There is بغير حساب. Right, so that's why we want that inshallah, but then like you see this ourselves, like we do not deserve any that at all. Like the one of how lax we are with our religions. Like so, but we want something so great from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's like the student who didn't study at all. And then he wants to go to TCA and put an A in my paper, just put A. Right? And then you didn't even study at all. You didn't even care. You at the difficult class also. I always absent. I mean, that kind of people okay me That kind of, but it's so terrible attitude. And after I want to go to the teacher and say, just give me an A yeah, can I get an A with absolutely no effort? I know deserving to get that A, right? You want that A, let's put some effort, right? Put more effort, right? To show that you really tried. Right, so Allah Alam, I just feel like, mashallah, like wanting something so great enter Jannah without any reckoning, and then the deeds don't show that you really want that. No, they don't show at all. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us. And wake us up, mashallah. Okay, so here after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the two sides, right, and the two types of faces, it's one or the other, is no third face. It's one or the other, right? Either your faces are illuminated and gazing at your Lord Most High, or your faces are gloomy and just knowing something devastating or something backbreaking is going to afflict you at that point in time. So you choose what you want. And at this point in time, as happens frequently in the Quran, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the day of judgment, He will suddenly move into the scene of death. He will move quickly or suddenly into the scene of death. So you see, Kalla إِذَا بَلَغَتِ التَّرَاقِي. And one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does it, Allahu A'lam, Allah knows best, with his whatever He has intended, subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that, it could be that people are still in their heedlessness. So when you say to someone, your face is going to be illuminated or darkened on a day of judgment, choose what do you want. Do you want an illuminated face or a darkened face? You got to choose. But people, they get lax. They don't think much about it. They do all this. They're not focused on it and everything. They're like, no, I still want to do what I want to do. I want to watch what I want to watch. I want to enjoy what I want to enjoy. And subhanallah. And then they like I don't know. Let me say one thing about our zaman, like really, 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 if you don't really have to be on any of these social media platforms, then don't be lah. Like, it's really like I find, like, for me, I see so much difference in being on it, not being on it. I just try out and find other ways to assess the goodness. There are always better ways and purer ways to assess the goodness that's out there. Right, so that is because it's going to be an entire accounting on the day of judgment. Right, there's always ways to find goodness, right? There's always ways to limit yourself to goodness. And right now there are many Telegram channels, right? So, and I find that Telegram channels, they focus you. So for example, if I go into Omar's channel, you're going to see Sheikh Saad, Shah Ahmad Saad channel, it's focused. Right? So whatever could be on social media is also on his channel, right? So the channel focuses you. Right? Whereas social media, it opens you up to a lot of shar, right? So it needs to be very, very strong in the, in the evil that is there, which I feel is just too much, right? Too much evil that's in there. So because they keep popping it in your faces, as you don't want the evil, and it just pops into your face. Right. So I don't want to even look at TikTok at all. Just the entire idea of it sounds evil. It sounds so evil, the entire idea of it. Right. This is the whole idea of it, lah. Right. Like, so it's just not even gonna try that or open that or whatever. It will be the destruction of human beings, lah. On the day of judgment or on the day of death. On the day of death. You don't want that this is on your account. You have all this, all this baggage, right, on your account. You don't have to have this on your account, especially these things. They're taking away your time from the Quran. Especially is the one thing. They're taking away your time from the Quran. So be very, very selective and think to yourself, is there really a need? Is there really, really a need? Think to yourself.
Especially for business, you promote stuff.
Yeah, so it means you're gonna be very strict on yourself. So you're going to promote stuff, right? To sell stuff. You get on, you promote your stuff, sell stuff, and you get off. From there. Don't sit there, and don't allow yourself to see anything, inshallah. Okay. Question here. After a recent health scare, I've only been thinking about death and how I'm not ready. This causes me to have extreme anxiety, as I almost cannot get through daily life now. How do I balance the hope in Allah's mercy with my fear? Please advise on some zikr can practice during these really bad times. For now, I do try to istiqamah on real latif, but the fear still lingers. This fear of death is a good thing. You're not trying to get rid of it. It's a good thing, right? But your paralysis, right, or your inability to get through daily life, right, that is from shaitan, and that is shaitan trying to make you not want to fear, right? So what you can do, right, in that you are having a lot of fear on having a lot of fear, right? You need to I would say you need to pair that fear, right, with with hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course. Right? So the fear needs to be paired, be placed together, right? They're placed together with the hope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Because you think about it, if you're really fearful of death, right? If you're really fearful of death, why are you not living your life right now? How does not getting through the day help you in your fear, right? Like you see that this person says that she can't get through her day. Why can't you get through your day? So how does not getting through your day, right, help your fear, right? So when you if you fear death, okay, yes, death can come at any time, and it will come at any time, and no one can change it, no one can stop it, no one can bring it forward, no one can bring it back. That is a fact of life, right? On everyone, right? But your life is going through your life is the preparation for death. Right? So you need to talk to yourself and speak and tell yourself, right, that what's the point? What's the use? Right? This is something that a lot of self-talk lah. A lot of self-talk, because in Islam, what we are looking at as Muslims is benefit, right? Is benefit. So to be paralyzed, right, by all this anxiety, right, ask yourself, what's the benefit? Is there a benefit in me being this way? Then you got to push yourself, really push yourself on this. You think to yourself, there's no benefit in me, moping around. There's no benefit in me, having all this anxiety. There's no benefit in me. There's no benefit at all. There's a lot of self-talk, to yourself. Tell yourself that why are you doing this to yourself? Like, why are you putting yourself in a rut like that? What's the benefit? The clock is ticking. Yes, all of our clocks are ticking. And therefore, we want to do as much benefit as possible to ourselves and to others around us. Right? That is my first part of my answer. Right? To really self-talk. You got to self-talk. Right? And really the best person to talk to you is you. Really. Because you know what's going through your mind. Right? So you need to address you. Right. So when you are having all these fears and anxiety and you can't get through the day, right, talk to yourself. Right. Ask yourself, why are you so fearful of? You're afraid of death, right? But you can't run away from death anyway. So live your life. Right? Live your life. And why can't you, why can you go to work? I go to work. I go to classes. Go to the masjid. Right. Go and pray your prayers. Right. Death will come to you wherever you are. Right, but there's no running from death. Right, don't run to death at all. Right, it's in the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're not supposed to worry, right, about when you're gonna die. Right, but of course, how you're gonna die, and being full of anxiety and stress and inability is not gonna help you die in a good way. It's not going to help you. It's going to push yourself out of this. Right? You're going to decide for yourself. You're going to make your own decisions. Decide for yourself. That you decide that today is a good day. You decide I'm going to be productive today. You decide today's a day whereby I increase in my acts of worship. Today's the day whereby I'll do what and what. You decided. It's a decision to be made. I'm not a counselor, right? But then that's basically what I do for myself all the time. I tell myself, I decide that today, right, I'm not gonna be sad. And today, I just decided. You decided. Right? And then khalas, you are. Right? But I won't even say it's a mental strength, but I will say it's a decision. It's a decision to be made. right? That I see that Allahu Alam, I don't know, and I can comment, I can, judge, right? But it seems like sometimes people, they don't decide to get out of their ruts. They want to stay in there. They want to, they don't like it, right? They don't enjoy their ruts. But sometimes they don't decide to flip the switch and move on. Flip the switch and move on. Right? It's a decision. I decide today I'm happy. I decided. And I am. Right? Khalas. Right? It's a decision. You decide it. Okay. I'm gonna add on to my answer. What do we recite? Okay. I'm gonna recite, I'm giving advice on zikr. And what I can say to you is that um to recite Ya Latif. Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Latif, 128 times. Okay, Ya Latif, Ya Latif, 128 times, right? 128, 128, 128. Ya Latif, yeah. The one I learned is 128. 128 times. Ya Latif, Ya Latif. And then the other thing you can recite is Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Farij an al-Muslimin. That one. Right? You can even if you don't know, if you don't know the words, you're not good at reading the entire thing, just go with the chorus over and over again. I go Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, يا أرحم الراحمين فرج على المسلمين. Okay, but I don't want you to remove the fear. You're not looking to remove the fear. The fear is good. To fear death is a good thing. Right? It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What we need to remove from you is irrationality. What you're having is that you're being irrational, right? Sorry to say, but you are being irrational in not being able to get through your day and being having anxiety is a lot of irrationality, which is why you're gonna face it with rationality. You're gonna rationalize with yourself, right? But fear is a good thing. And fear is a good thing, and you have to couple it with mercy, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. And to achieve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy is to constantly turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that way. Okay, I hope I answered the question. There are times when you slack because we are tired with extra ibadah. Seeking knowledge is normal. Here it's very normal. Our nafsu loves to this kind of things, right? Yeah, it's normal. We're never on an iman high, right? We go on iman low, we slack, we tell ourselves sunnah aja, right? Just sunnah. They tell ourselves do it later. Then we tell ourselves, we tell ourselves what else we do. We okay lah, we do all kinds of exercises in our head. Right? It's the nafs. The nafs is naturally lazy. The nafs does not like to get up. The nafs is lie down the whole day. The nafs likes all these kind of things, right? So yeah lah, it's normal, right? So if you want to really get your nafs waking up, right, push your nafs, right? Basically classes, especially Quran, right? Quran drives you, right, pushes you. Thinking of death, right, pushes you. And this is all covered in Imam Ghazali's fifth hurdle in Minhaj al-Abidin. But he says, what are the driving forces? Fear and hope. They are the driving forces. Right? So when you feel so slack in your ibadah, right, then you're not having enough fear. Right? You're not having enough hope also in Allah's rewards. Right? So you need to educate yourself on more on the fear and more on the hope. So you don't stack off, right, in your ibadah. Right? But it is normal because we all got nafs, all of us have nafs. Right? So it is normal to be slack. Not to say it's okay. Right? But I'm saying that it is something normal. Right. Then when it happens, you can't just stay there slack for a long time. Like get yourself, don't let yourself stay there for too long. Of course, if you are tired, for a legitimate reason, so for example, like a mother breastfeeding the entire night, looking after her babies and so on, or working, or you have a project that you are working on and so on, and you're tired, right, physically tired. Of course, Allah is all merciful on that, right? But let your slack not be because of laziness, right? But if it's tiredness, then it's okay. If it's exhaustion, it's okay. Right. So even my teachers, when they travel, they get very exhausted. Right. So they will because of travel. Right? Travel is exhausting. Right. So they might miss their night prayers, right, because of the exhaustion of travel. That some people they physically can't take, right, so much of it. Right. So of course if you're sick even more, right? If you're sick, even more, you give yourself the break, right? So if it's all because of tiredness and not laziness, then for tiredness, let yourself rest. Your body has a right on you. Okay, your body has a right on you. And this is from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, whereby three Sahaba once they took an oath, that one of them said that he will fast and never break his fast. And the other one said that he will pray the night and never sleep. And the last one said he will never marry woman and not have any relations whatsoever. So when this reached Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Rasulullah called them to him, and he said that I heard this from you, and he confirmed it. And he said that, and he said that I fast and I break my fast, and I pray in the night and I sleep, and I marry women, right? And whoever goes against my sunnah, and my sunnah of moderation, right? Moderation, then they are not from me, they're not of me, right? So, and it was his teaching of them, right? And then there was another story about a companion, Sayyidina Salman, right? And Sayyidina Abu Dhar, right? Sayyidina Abu Dhar was sleeping in the house of Sayyidina Salman, right? And in that house, right? As in Abu Dhar, he wanted to wake up and pray the entire night. But Sayyidina Salman did not allow him to do so, and kept telling him to go and sleep. Right? Sleep. And only in the last third of the night, or last quarter of the night, or last 1/6 of the night, when he woke up and he prayed a few rak'ahs right before subuh. Right. So Sayyidina Abu Dhar was upset lah. Sayyidina Salman didn't let him pray the entire night. So the next day he went to Rasulullah and he complained to Rasulullah about it, right? And then Rasulullah said that Salman is correct, right? Do not exhaust yourself. Your body has a right on you, right? So if you have a tiredness about you, if you're feeling tired about certain things, don't push. And don't push so much. What I'm saying is laziness. You push against laziness, but not tiredness. Okay, so if there's an exhaustion, a tiredness, you don't want to burn out, right? So if you feel it's too tiring, you want to rest, then go and rest, right? The religion has made what is wajib, and anything beyond what is wajib is not wajib, right? And it's not wajib for a reason, because sometimes people miss them, right? Sometimes they will miss these things, right? Right? And they will and it's okay because it's sunnah, right? And that is from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So tiredness and exhaustion, right? It is a sign from your body that you are abusing your body. You're abusing your body. But laziness is something else, and it's from nafsu. Okay, alhamdulillah. Mashallah. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease everyone's affairs. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kalla إذا بلغت التراقي وقيل من راق. Right, so Allah says no, right? Kalla is a word of zajar, right? It's a word of scolding. No, right? No such thing. No, so it's like when people dismiss the entire talk about the day of judgment and bright faces and dull faces and gloomy faces and so on, right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He stops those people, right, who are dismissing, right, all this talk about the day of judgment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kalla. So whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to, in a sense, stop all this argument, right, between people, and to pull their attention to something, the word kalla comes in. Right? Kalla إِذَا بَلَغَتِ التَّرَاقِي. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say what. So in the Arabic it says, and when it reaches the collarbone, when it, right? There is no إذا بلغت الروح التراقي. The word ruh is not there. So it's understood what reaches the throat, right? It is the ruh that will reach the throat, right? So beware on that day when the ruh, and last week you mentioned about how the ruh will be peeled out, right, from the feet first, then it will be pushed up to the ankles, then the ruh will be removed right up to the knees, then it will be removed to the waist, then the ruh will be removed from the hands, then the ruh will be brought up the chest, then the ruh will be to the throat, right, and it will be gathered in the throat. Then the angel Azrael will come and it will pull out the ruh through the throat. So Allah says, and when the ruh has reached the throat, there is no pushing it back. And there is no pushing back the ruh, right? When it has come up to the throat, you cannot save the ruh, right? So no matter what the medication, no matter what the doctor, no matter what it is, right? Death is not in the hands of anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقِيلَ مَنْ رَاقَ. And it'll be said, who can save this person? Right? Who can heal this person? There is no healing for death. And no one can stop death and no one can heal death. Right? The only one who can control is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it will be said, who will bring it back? وَظَنَّ أَنَّهُ الْفِرَاقَ. And the one who is dying, he will see that he is actually dying. And sometimes I try to imagine this. Try to imagine seeing death. Imagine it. Now is it. Always like when I lie down and before I sleep, I will imagine like how will it be. It's a good exercise to do. Right? You lie down and before you sleep and you imagine you're dying. And your realization comes over you that you are actually dying and you're actually leaving this world. How will it be? Like when it finally happens. Because like you read all about it, right? None of us has ever experienced it. And we read all about it. In the Quran speaks about it, the Hadith speaks about it, right? How death will happen. When it's actually happening, how does the feeling be when you actually realize وَظَنَّ أَنَّهُ فِرَاقٌ, and you realize this is it. I'm done with this world. My time is up. And this is it. Especially when you open your eyes and you see the angels coming towards you, and then the entire realization overcomes you that there's no turning back. You can't run from this. I always imagine. I just lying down and always imagine happy angel. You're too scared. You cannot imagine it.
Run to my parents.
Huh?
Yeah.
Your parents cannot stop death from you. But your parents can't stop death from you. Whenever you imagine death, you run to your parents' room. Your parents can do it for you.
After that, I injured already.
Your parents cannot stop death from coming to you. They can't. Right? So, if you lie down, you just imagine. I always imagine happy angel. Because I mean, like an angel welcoming you to the next world in the Jannah. Because I cannot imagine a horrifying angel. That one is horrifying. I cannot do it. Bring it to my. Yeah, I always imagine a good death, but death nonetheless. And death nonetheless, I always imagine a good death. And it's because it's just my Hasusan Billah and a good hope and also because my heart cannot take it if I imagine bad death. And I'm unable to imagine it. Why? Okay, why would it be scary? Why would it be scary if the angel came to you in a beautiful form and that you see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
But worship is in the grave or what?
No, a mahshar is or bashar, or the one the grief, right? But it's still Azrael, right? But he will come to you in a beautiful form, right? To welcome you and to escort you to the next world, as well as the Prophet also is going to be there. Right? So always imagine that one, right? So it's actually something to look forward to if you're a good person now, inshallah. Let me ask good people, right? But it's something that for me, this motivates me every day. That I imagine my goal. That I want to die like that. So you imagine die like that, right? So you imagine dying in sujood. It's imagine, even if it's not for us, at least spend time imagining it. Or imagine dying, like at Mecca, Medina, doing tawaf, or you imagine dying when you're at the Rawdah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or you imagine dying at Zamban. That's where my nightly imaginations go to lah. Right? So like I imagine I go to Tari, and then after that, after something happens there, then I die there. Then I always imagine good death. Right? And that for me that motivates me because I want this kind of death. I also want to imagine dying reading the Quran, like Shana Bhuti. And he died teaching tafsir. Yeah, died teaching tafsir. So like I will imagine this kind of deaths. Where he come to class and then the love for the Quran and people around him, and then him seeing the angels and seeing the Prophet ﷺ in the majlis, and him knowing his end is coming. Right? He knew his end was coming. right? And then to die in that way, because this is what I imagine lah. That is what I imagine. Right, so you can go to different scenarios. But for me, it is a motivation. It's a motivation. Yeah, you can also imagine bad deaths if you want, right? But it's just too much for me to my heart to handle. Right? If it's a bad death, I cannot handle bad deaths. But imagine bad deaths can be a huge deterrent from the sins that you're committing, right? And that would be a good idea if you are committing sins. And you ask yourself, if I die right now, do I want to die like this? And that will push you away from your sin. As you say to yourself, whatever I'm watching right now, if I die here and now, like, do I want to die with this, like, on my account? You don't want to. You don't want to die like that. And stop it, right? So however you go to sleep, I have read my surahs, I've done my zikr, I've done everything. Okay, is my soul ready to meet its Lord? Right? So you ask yourself, is my soul ready to meet its Lord? You do your last zikr before you sleep, then inshallah, I say, okay, I sleep with salawats, I sleep with salawats, I fall asleep with salawats on my tongue. Like, if this is my night that I will not wake up from, then I'm ready. I'm ready. I've done my salawats, I've done everything, and I have husnul billahi ta'ala that the Prophet told me that if I die in this way, I die on fitrah. Right? So in a sense, you work yourself, right, in that way, right? And it pushes you. Right? So that works for me lah. Right? Because the words of the Prophet is true. Right? So my husnul zan, right, in that, I know that we deserve it anyway, right? But you have a good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet said, if you end your night with these words, the long dua towards the end in the khulasa, right? Amantu bi kitabil ladzi anzalt wa bi nabiyyika ladzi arsalt, like the end of it, right? Of it. Then inshallah you die on fitrah. If you die on fitrah. So inshallah, it's hope and fear. You're handling hope and fear, and that pushes you to what is goodness, and that stops you from what is evil, from what is sinful against you, right? So this statement, وَظَنَّ أَنَّهُ الْفِرَاقَ, and he knows is going to be the separation. He knows it's going to be separation. It's time to depart. وَالْتَفَّتِ السَّاقُ بِالسَّاقِ. Right? Saq is the calf, right? Saq is the calf, right? So and the calves are placed together and tied in a shroud, right? In a coffin, right? So all this imagery, and I think when I began imagining death was when Hababa did the ghusl on me, the ghusl mayit. So you just imagine you're the dead person. When initially she was going to do she was doing the course on janazah, like the first time she asked me to be the mayit. Like, I was in the class, she was at me, she was like, are you free on this day? And I said, yeah, I'm kind of okay, I'm free. And then she was like, yeah, I need someone to be the mayit. So I was like, you want me to be the mayit? And she said, yeah, you're free, you're okay. You're easy to wash. So I said, okay. Right. And you take off your hijab, everything. And your hair is all there, because she will show the handling of the hair and everything, right? So when she washed me, I basically, you wear a t-shirt and you just wear long pants, and so even pants, right? You wear pants. So it was something that you usually don't wear at all. That time I was very thin in Korea that time, right? So she taught me to be the mayit, right? So it was easy for them to handle, and then in Tarim. Yeah, and she was teaching this course to a group of Arab women, and and the funny thing is that like the woman, they were treating me like a dead person. They were like, La ilaha illallah, miskina, poor thing, she died so young. La ilaha illallah. They were saying these kind of things, so young. Then they kiss my forehead. They were treating me like a dead person. Right? I'm not dead. It's the cause. I'm not dead. Right. But they were like, they were kissing me on my forehead. Right. They were like, so for me the experience was the entire time I imagined that I'm dead. I imagined that I was dead, and these people were washing my body, and they were washing my hair. They were scrubbing my hair. They were scrubbing my hair and washing my hair. Right. And then they did a siwak on my teeth. They usually use a cotton. Right.
Water on you.
Yeah. They washed me. They washed me. And the only thing was that I was wearing clothes. That's all. Yeah, but I was a dead person. I was a dead person. They put me on the papan, on the bed where you wash the diseased person. In Tarim in Singapore, you use a no, it happened to me really in Tarim. In Singapore, you have this metal bedding, right? And if it goes out, right? In Tarim, it's a wooden, but it's planks with gaps in between. So the water goes right through because they wash they will wash you in their house. They call it house. House is like a backyard or a front door, or a porch. So it's still walled, it's high walled, right? But no one sees inside. But it's open space, it's open air. Right? So they usually wash the deceased person there. So yeah, the water goes through. So she made me sit on that papan lah, on that wooden structure, right? And they literally they covered they wet me. I was shivering because I'm still alive. That's so cool. So so after and it happened, not let me react at all. She told me, you're a dead person, you don't move at all. So if let's say they don't they wash me properly, right, and then left and then let go of my hand will fall in that way. It happened to my head. They were washing my head, then they let go and my head fell back. Because I'm not supposed to stop it. I'm just going to just be a dead person. Right? So they had to be a lesson that you didn't look after the head, then look after the hand, then look after the that kind of thing lah. And then they did put a white cloth over me to show that how you cover the aurat of the person, right? And you wash on top of the cloth, right? So whenever they can see my clothing underneath, that means you're not covering the aurat. I'm not taking care of the aurat, I know, of a deceased. It was very very deep experience lah for me. Right, and then and yeah, they wash your eyes, everyone do touch lah. They do everything, they wash everything, the whole thing, they do your ears, they pull out your they scrub your hair, everything, all they will do. And then after they wash me, and however was showing how they wash me everything, and then they put the bukhur, they will bukhur the janazah, and they leave the janazah there to kind of like dry by itself. It's but then of course once everybody left, Hava was like, okay, go and change your clothes because you're freezing cold. Gosh, shivering. I was all wet, drenched, all wet. So go change my clothes. I got so wet. And after I wear dry clothes, I went back onto the thing because they have to now learn to carry me. So they will have to carry me onto the kafan, and they began to kafan me. So what that what yeah. والتفت الساق بالساق. No. Let me breathe. Let me breathe. Haba demonstrated that this is where you put the cotton in the nose and everything, right? Right. But they so they brought my feet together, my calves together. Then she demonstrated that. So they actually lifted me. This woman, they lifted me and they brought me to the cover cloth all laid out. And with all the nice smell stuff. And they have all this like camphor and so on, right? There's there Hababa calls it heteka. Heteka, and then there's the words lah on of it lah. Our kafur, and they put all this like smell stuff. And they put me there and they began to wrap me. And one by one. The cloth, the first they dress me in the sarung first, and then put the shirt on, then put the hijab on. Right. So now you're not, and then they put my hands that way, then they wrap my legs together, right? And then they so you just imagine that you're dead. That's it. This is gonna be. This was gonna be. Right? They're wrapping you. Right. So yeah. It's like, so they're wrapping you up. But of course, Papa was going to tie the top part of the kafan on top of my head. Hey, you laugh like booster. Yeah, she's gonna tie the top part of the kafan of my head, right? And then one of the halala that was the older Arab lady, she was like, "Don't do that. She's not dead." She was like, haram alaish. Don't do that. Hava was like, she can breathe lah. And then she was like, no, you're making her like a mayyit. And okay, fine. And I was like, okay, fine, not going to do it. Yeah. The Arabs will they will talk to Haba in that way. Yeah, mashallah. Yeah, but it's an experience lah. Because the scary part was when they covered my face, so I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything the entire time because my eyes were closed. But you felt something go over your face, cover over your face, and then my eyes were closed, so I cannot see what's going on. Yeah, I just heard what they were doing, and my eyes couldn't see what they're doing. So when they put their hands together and it cover you, when you're very tight in the kafan is tight. So they kafan you very tight. Subhanallah, it's an experience, right? But then they haven't even put in the grave. I wonder if they actually go the entire length and put you in a grave. That'd be so scary. Being put in the grave is a scary part. They don't put you in the grave, right? But they just bring up to that point, yeah, just to demonstrate, because the grave part is all handled by the men anyway. So she was just teaching the woman. But
I did this topic on now also at 50%. Then my Susan showed us the video of Habib Mashhur.
Mashu has an entire video, yes.
It has the video. So,
And he has an entire series of preparing janazah, yes. I have the recordings.
that was like
Yeah.
so was alive also. Yeah, because like
Yeah, of course, like you're not gonna demonstrate. If it's a real dead person, you can't do a demonstration. Because the minimum number of people should be in the room. For real dead people, you can't have like everyone in the room watching. Unlike like in medical procedures where you have all the trainees coming in and just watching all your aura being shown because you teach their training doctors coming up. The medical students are the medical students coming in. But for janazah, they will not ever use a real dead person, because is the rights of the janazah that minimum number of people enter the room, and as far as possible, only the closest to the janazah. So one person knowledgeable had to lead the washing. So either the one who was sent, right, from the company or whatever, right, who's knowledgeable, right, or if anybody in the family is knowledgeable, and then that person does it, yeah, does it, yeah. And then the closest of the family members, and not all of them, is enough to handle the washing. So what, three? If three is enough, three is enough. If four is enough, four is enough. So not everybody is supposed to be in there and watching the janazah being washed, and you won't like it. I mean, I wouldn't like it if my whole family was in there watching me being washed, and they don't have to be there. Yeah, a lot of people have the wrong concept. Yeah, they very concept.
it's true.
No, 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 no. No, no, no. And that day also, I had a relative, she passed away, and the person who came to wash the janazah, right, while the mother was on the metal bed, right, and she was not, she has the cloth over her, right, the normal cloth, that there's this white cloth they put over her, right, and there was no clothes underneath, right, because it's a white cloth. Right, the person called in the sons of this woman, right, to like kiss her one more time and to kiss her hands, everything. But she's naked. She's naked with a cloth over her, right? And that is indecent, right, in a sense, because she's lying flat on her back. Can you imagine someone's not wearing any clothes, you're naked, and one cloth over you, right? It's white, like it's not wet, it's dry, right? But like the shape of the shape of her breasts could be seen, the shape of, which is why you need to really guard over this. But this, I don't know why. And why at that point you must call the sons in? Because you can call them in at the kafan. The kafan, call them in. Why must call them in at the point of washing? Since when people are called in at the point of, I was so upset. I was there to wash. I was there to wash. But because I'm not the official, but then I was taken aback that she called in the sons to just come and kiss their mother and everything. Wait till kafan. After we kafan her, then come in. Right? When you kafan her, she's all nice and set, right? And it's all perfumed and all that. Now you want to kiss a kiss, but not before she's taking a bath, because the body's naked underneath. Right? It's all the adab, the adab of handling janazah. Right? So I was so disturbed that you have to call in the sons. Right. So yeah lah. So like in those who wash your janazah, right, closest family members, right? So daughter, right, that my grandmother passed away, right, was my mother, right, because I think my auntie couldn't handle it. Right, so my mother, and then some of my cousins. Right, so daughter and granddaughter. Right, only those who need to enter. Right, and people should not prioritize themselves that I'm the daughter, or I'm the granddaughter, therefore I should be in there. If there's enough people in there, get out. Right, don't sit in there. And I was watching my grandmother, she passed away a few years ago. I was washing her, right? It was the person was washing, Right, there was me, and then there was my auntie, my father's sister, right, and then my other auntie, my father's other sister, right. So we were enough. Right, there's four of us, right. But my grandmother had a friend who insisted on sitting in the room and watch. She insisted, and she was an old lady, and like they always, oh, she wants to watch. And then I had a few people who were there as well of the family who also just stood there to watch the washing. The washing is not a display to be watched. Right? You don't want to be displayed while people are bathing you. Right? You don't want that. Right? So, but then I know now that I don't know what to say, what to, like to go, whatever. But I remember that one when the lady missed she missed a lot of sunnahs. Right, the one who was washing didn't do the wudu, didn't do a lot of things, so like I had to speak up, like was my grandmother. I was going to speak up. So I just said that you're not going to do the wudu. Then she was like, she gave me the hose. She looked at me and she gave me the hose. So you do. Okay. So I do. Right. But then after the entire washing, she did a very strange thing. She called everybody who was in the room, who was watching, right, to do like some form of ritual, like, okay, wash, then pass the hose, wash, then pass the hose. So there was like a line of people to take turns running water over the dead person. We already washed her, but she did some sort of ritual whereby one by one people, like, who were in the room, had nothing to do with the washing. They were watching, and they ran the hose on the deceased. Right, which of course in a sense, like you want to honor them because they washed their grandmother, kind of thing. Right? But it's unnecessary and should not be done because your priority is the dead person, not these people who are in the room. They are not your priority at all. At all, they're not your priority. Right. So they need to figure it out themselves. That don't try and push yourself in. Right. But respect the dead. Only 3 people in the room, 4 people in the room, enough, get out. And that is the hukum of Islam. Because aurat. Now, if you want to serve your grandmother, come early before she died. That's when you serve her. I don't like appear out of nowhere and now to serve her. No, you didn't serve when she was alive. Right. So I mean, in a sense, because how do you say to people, like, and they keep pushing themselves in. Everything else they want to do, everything they want to do. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. But I know, like, my brother, my grandmother that passed away, my mom's side, my nanny passed away. My brother, mashallah, they brought the janazah to the grave, right? And then my oldest brother, Kasim. So he's the oldest grandson. And he's the closest to my grandmother, and me, two of us. I'm the first granddaughter and he's the first grandson. So two of us were very close to my grandmother, my mother's side. And then when the janazah was brought, right, to the graveside, right, he really wanted to bring her janazah down into the grave. Right. But my uncle who was there, right, he called his son, who was a much younger. This is at the cousin hierarchy, like, in a sense, like the entire, the cousins. Because only one son. My grandmother only one son. So that means the next person should be a grandson, correct? To bring down her brothers are all too weak to do it. They're all elderly as well. So the only male around her is a son and her grandson. And so by right, it should be the oldest grandson to do it. And not like a younger grandson, right? But my uncle called his own son. He called his own son to go bring my grandmother down. Then at first my brother said that I don't remember whether he said in the group or said to me directly. And he said that at first he thought to himself, that I should be bringing down Nani into the grave. Then he said to himself, that's not important. What is important is she's put this in the grave. You are not important. So you don't go like I'm the oldest grandson. I am the most deserving to do this. People do that. And they get slighted that you don't call the oldest one. That kind of thing. Yeah lah. Just know how to put it in their places lah. Okay. Question here. Is it encouraged for spouse to watch Daza or close female relatives? Answer is close female relatives, right, and not spouse. Father watch mother instead of daughter watch mother, no, female. Right. It is best that females wash. One thing also, right, that spouse, because the spouse is in there, who's going to be the helpers, right? So let's say that if the spouse is not knowledgeable, the one who's going to wash the janazah is what? Going to be a woman, right? So that then he's going to be interacting with this woman, right? And then who's going to be helping? What are there other women or other men, right? So in a sense, like he's not going to be the only one washing. Let's say Fatima Zahra, Sayyidina Ali single-handedly washed her. So one man washed one woman, right? Which but that is Sayyidina Fatima Zahra's specific situation for Sayyidina Fatima Zahra specifically, and for nobody else. And also to add on, the Sayyidina Fatima Zahra at that point, all her sisters had passed away. Right? So who would be her female relatives? Right? But in that situation also, because Sayyidina Ali could single-handedly handle her. Right? So which I doubt any of our men, right, would be able to single-handedly handle the female janazah. I highly doubt. Right? So then they would need other women around, right? Or it can be other men, right? Like you don't want to have like, the brother, you don't have the sons in because the mother's naked. So the husband is the one who probably can see that, right? But not the sons or brothers. I'll be so horrified if my brothers watch me. Right? I mean, you'll be horrified, right? Right? I'm like, no, the ones who watch me will be my nieces. I will, or my sister. Or if my mother's alive, my mother. Right? But the one that I will watch it is probably my nieces. Like, come and watch me, and my nieces. Mm? My cousin, whoever's alive, lah, I was able to watch me. Right? Whoever's able to watch me. Depending on when I die. Don't know when I die, whether I always was alive or not. Hopefully, how about Mariam around and watch me. Okay, that's my wasiat also. I wasiat that if she is around and I'm around her and I die in that vicinity, then ask her to watch me. Okay, so ah, yeah. Okay, this is in our class. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أن الله رزقنا من نافع وعملا خالصا وسلم ودل الهدى ويسر بقبل النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأرواح معالم مشايخنا ويزال بالحق علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.